So if you have a 100 gigabyte hard drive, you shouldn't need more than 10 of that for Windows. And you should need oh, that reminds me, I almost completely forgot to show you one other thing. Since we're doing this from scratch in this example, I might as well show you how to do things legit from scratch. Alright, you just seen me resize this to 4 gigs and leave 6 gigs for Linux. Well, assume that these numbers are bigger. Like I said, I only got so much space to work with on my system, only so much space left on my system. So assume that these are bigger. I'm going to create a data storage space too. Because one trick I learned a long time ago that I figured out from experimenting with computers so much and having to reinstall my operating systems all the time was it sucks to forget to back up your files when you reinstall something because you'll lose all your crap. So here we're going to create one more partition. And click on new, and we're going to make a little, I'm only going to give it 2 gigabytes to save room for my Linux examples, but assuming that I have a real hard drive and not a fake one, we're going to give it a, we'll assume this is like 20 gigabytes. Actually we meant to give that a label. God damn it, I'm going to have to delete it and do it again. Alright, check it out. This is gonna be a data storage partition. It's gonna be where you keep your data so that if you ever have to reinstall your Linux installation or your Windows installation, you don't lose your data. Your personal files are safe on a separate partition. I always encourage people to do that. And for file system type, we're gonna give it extension 4. This is an older version of Gparted. I haven't actually got the latest version yet, but this only has support up to extension 3 at this time. So if when we install Linux, if we see the option to reformat this as an extension 4, we're going to take advantage of that. We're going to give it the label of multimedia, or you can call it data storage, all one word. Whatever label you get it, when you install it, or when you're done installing, actually here, I meant to move this down. When you finish installing Linux, whatever label you give this hard drive, your data storage drive, when it pops up on your desktop, that's the name it's going to have. It's kind of neat. But anyway, yeah, always create a data storage partition. Always. And keep your data on it. Alright, so we got our data storage and we got our Windows. Click apply. And like I said, you only see mine 2 gigabytes. I've got a pretend 10 gigabyte hard drive. So, but if I had a real hard drive, you know, 200 gigabytes or whatever, it'd be correct. It'd be big enough to hold all my files. And I actually I didn't think about this till after the fact, and this virtual machine's so fucking slow that I don't feel like doing this again because it takes forever. But normally I put the data storage at the very end of the hard drive just because it's just an arbitrary decision. It means absolutely nothing. Alrighty then. So we've got our data storage drive, our Windows drive, and we can install Linux to this drive here in a moment. Alright, so we're done with this. We're going to go ahead and close out of Gparted, double click on exit. I don't know why they have it to where you got to double click this stuff, but you do. Any day now. Alright, and I'm going to tell it just to shut down. If you're installing Linux right here and now, you can tell it to reboot, which is the default option. I'm telling it to shut down because I'm running off a virtual machine. Anyway, it'll start doing this stuff right here. It's just spitting out a bunch of words saying, hey, I'm doing this, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. You want to read about this? And you just kind of ignore it and let it go by. At the very end, though, it'll say, eject the CD and hit enter to continue. And if you don't hit enter, it'll just stay there. It's kind of fucking retarded. It should just shut down. But it doesn't. So anyway, now you know how to resize Windows without reinstalling Windows. Now also, just for your information, if you have to reinstall Windows, keep in mind that after you install Linux, you're going to have a boot screen to, yeah, I see that. There, see what I'm talking about? I just kept talking and didn't read the message, and it just stayed there. But anyway, after you install Linux, you'll have a boot screen to decide or select what distro to boot, whether it be Windows or Linux, or what OS to boot. Anyway, if you install Windows again after you've installed Linux, which sometimes you have to do because of this or that, Windows will overwrite the boot record, the master boot record, meaning that you will not have a boot selection screen anymore. You can only boot Windows. That is one of the many reasons I despise Microsoft. They don't want you to use anything else, and so they deliberately overwrite the motherfucker. Instead of reading it and adding an entry to it or editing it or whatever, they deliberately overwrite it. So a lot of times you can't boot Linux if you've installed Windows after you've installed Linux. What a lot of people wind up resorting to is reinstalling Linux again so they can have that boot screen to choose Windows or Linux. There's a way around that. You actually don't have to reinstall Linux. You can go in with your Linux installation CD and recover the or rewrite the master boot record. I'm going to show you how to do that in another video because it's another topic, but it's closely related to this one, so I figured I'd mention that in this one. But keep your eye out for one of the other videos, and I will show you how to do that. And I believe that was all I was covering in this video. Oh yeah, I'm going to move on to the next video. Alright, that concludes this one.